And it's just like, man, I'm so underqualified. And I just felt like I was the idiot walking into a room of smart people. Hey everyone, it's Victoria. I'm here to talk to you about something that I've been up to recently. So I've kind of been at home for like the last 7 months or so back in the States after getting home from China. And so I've spent the majority of those 7 months figuring out what in the world do I want to do with my life? Because it's not very often as an adult you have time to just take a step back and reassess and figure out exactly what you want to do with your life. And so it's really easy for me to get like all caught up in like the rat race of achieving and doing this and doing that. So I'm very thankful for the fact that I have this opportunity to just take that moment to go back in time. And so about 2 weeks ago, actually less than 2 weeks ago, I'll say a week and a half ago, I was talking with my mom and she mentioned to me the idea of taking a couple of random classes at like a school in the area. And so I decided that I would look around and see what I could do. So the University of Illinois is about an hour away from where I live. And so I was on there, I was like scrolling through their website being like, that class sounds interesting. That class sounds interesting. And I've been like shopping around in the idea of going to grad school for forever. And like when I graduated with my undergrad degree, I always knew I wanted to go back to school because I love like achieving things academically. And so like I realized after teaching in China that teaching isn't the correct path for me, at least being an English teacher, because it's not what I'm passionate about. The part of the job I was passionate about was being with my students and helping them and getting to travel because I was in a position that I was able to do that as a expat. And so I realized not the teaching part, especially the teaching English part. I could do it, but I wasn't passionate about it. And I am a human driven by passion and things I'm passionate about. So back to my story. About a week ago, last Thursday, I decided to sign up for classes at U of I. I decided to sign up for a macroeconomics class and a European Union studies class. The programs I've been kind of looking into going into is like, I really want to help refugees. I want to go into international aid and I want to be able to impact the world on a big scale. And I've been looking at different grad schools and what they require for these different programs for about the entire time I've been home. And a lot of them require economics background, which I do not have in my education. If it had anything to do with business or economics, I saw it and then I ran far in the other direction because I just have no desire to pursue that. But I know it's one of those things I know I could do if I like put the energy in, but I'm just not interested enough. But now I've discovered a reason to be interested in it because it's a requirement for a lot of degrees, and if you're wanting to change the world or maybe work at the UN or something, it's kind of helpful if you know like how to do economics and understand how it works, because I am very easy to admit I know nothing, absolutely nothing. So I've been showing up to classes, and since I signed up as a non-degree seeking student, I didn't have to go through the admissions process. But I discovered it takes up to 2 weeks to get all the paperwork in order. Classes started on Monday, and I have not been registered to go into these classes. I just am kind of showing up at these times, and I don't have a school email address. I don't have access to any of the online information. I can't access textbooks. I can't access about anything, which is extremely frustrating. And so I have my economics classes on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then I have a European Union studies class on Wednesday. And so the economics class is a 100 level freshman course because I know nothing and I'm not going to jump into graduate economics classes when I don't understand a lick of it. And so I showed up and I'm like sitting in the classroom and I'm thinking, man, one of my students that I taught in China, I could technically be in classes right now with some of my students that I taught. And it's really weird. Because like one of my students I taught is going to school at Indiana University, which is like 3 hours away from here. And so it's insane to think I could be in this class with my student. It's just one of those mind like dimensions you never expect to have in life. And so I'm sitting in the class and I'm like, man, these are all such young kids in this classroom. I'm so much older than them. But like, I'm young enough that I can like fake it, that I don't look super old. Like, I always get mistaken for being way younger than I actually am. So it's not really a problem. The only problem is I can't access the online information, can't access textbooks because they're online, because they're being nice and making so it's free, but I still can't access my textbooks. I can't access the homework or do the homework or do any of that. And lots of fun stuff. And then I got to my European Union class. I'm so excited about it. And I walked in and I explained it to the professor. It's a small class, like, oh, in my economics class there's like 500 people in my section. And like, there was maybe only 800 people in my graduating class from all of that. Which is mind-blowing. And so because of that, it just makes things a lot more interesting. But this European Union class, I walked in, I told the professor, introduced myself to another student I was like, oh, my name's Victoria, nice to meet you. And she's like, oh, so is my name. I've only had maybe 2 other classes in my entire life where there was another Victoria. And I have this grad class and one of the other students is named Victoria, which is just kind of funny. But when I got into this class and got sat down, I'm just feeling super intimidated. I haven't been in a classroom in 1.5 years, like as a student, and this is a grad level class. I haven't taken like a challenging course in forever. And I've been on the teacher end of things, which really changes how I am as a student. I'm a lot more motivated and I understand like the pedagogy, I think, or like why a professor is teaching this way and how, and like a little bit of the theory behind it because like I was a teacher and I can appreciate it a lot more. And the professors seem super good for both of my classes. But I sat in that classroom and everybody's like, yeah, I'm working on, this is my first year as a master's student. This is my last year of my undergrad and I'm just taking this master's levels course. Oh, I'm working on my PhD. I'm just sitting in there like, wow, I am very underqualified. But I have a undergrad degree, so I'm okay. But I am the most underqualified, ignorant person in this classroom. I've never taken a political science class. I've never taken a history class in college. I've never taken a lot of the things that you need in order to succeed in a political class on the studies of the EU. And so I walk in there, I thought I knew some stuff because I'm more interested in that stuff than anyone else I know. And then I sat in there and I was like, the professor is going over the syllabus and I'm like, okay. Oh, we have a presentation. You have to do a presentation and have like a handout. I'm like, yeah, that's gonna be easy. I was a teacher. I did that every day, several times a day for my job, which is kind of funny. But like, I was just sitting in there and thinking like, I am in way over my head. I don't know what I'm doing. I haven't written an academic paper in 1.5 years. In senior year of college, I was just kind of over being a student, so I didn't really try as hard as I could have. So, but it happens. I feel like it's very common that by the time you're like at the end of your college career, you're like, get me out of here. So I'm relearning how to be a student, and I'm also trying to apply for different programs. But I'm going back to this European class. I'm jumping all over the place and I'm sorry about that. But this European class, and then we have like, it's a 3-hour long class. And so we had like the first part of the class and then we were going into the second part of the class and we were introducing ourselves and everybody's introducing what level of student they are and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I got an undergraduate degree in intercultural studies from all of that Nazarene University. And then I was an English teacher in China for 1 year. And it's just so different from everyone else in the room. And it's just like, man, I'm so underqualified. And I just felt like I was the idiot walking into a room of smart people. And we got like this paper that had like all these key terms and basic things about the EU. I knew nothing. Absolutely nothing. I felt like I was a 5-year-old being stuck into a 3rd grade classroom with my eyes wide open, being like, I don't know what's going on here. Which way is up? I'm being academically challenged right now. And I'm at a very different university dynamic than like my private Christian school background. But I know it's going to be good for me, and I'm really excited to learn. And I know I'm going to be extra motivated since like I don't know anything. But it really sucks the fact that I can't access the book or access the library or anything I need to do work on that class, because I've got a long list of readings I need to do. And I'm very thankful that I can read really quick, so it's going to help me a lot. But yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. And I think one of the things I'm going to kind of talk about on here is I'm really working on becoming a student again. And I've discovered with what I want to do in life is I want to help people. I want to change the world. And I've recognized that the best way to do that is by getting a better education. And I'm so thankful for the education I've had and the opportunities I have and the privilege I have as a white American. And going into the world and recognizing that I am privileged and that I can use this privilege to speak up for people who don't have the same abilities and opportunities that I'd have. So in order to do that, I got to get more education no matter what. Like, looked at the job market and I'm like, I don't even feel like I can apply for the jobs I want to do because I don't have the education. It's very overwhelming in some ways, but it makes me more motivated to learn than I've been in a long time because I've had a break and I've traveled and I have experience. And I also realized when I was in that classroom, everyone in that classroom for the European class, I am the only one who has left academia of the students. And I've taken a step back and I've traveled the world and I've done all these things. And so even though I don't have the academic credentials, I know a lot more about interacting with other cultures than somebody who's just gone to school and read about it in books, because I lived in Guangzhou, China for a year where people would openly stare at me like I was an animal in a zoo as I walked along the street with one of my best friends. And it's just very different. And not that the different is bad, but it's just a startling reawakening. So, but I'm working on applying to real not 4-year programs. I'm not wanting to do 4 more years of school right now for a master's degree. That's too much, and it's too much money. But I'm currently thinking I'm going to go to Europe and do grad school because it's cheaper. I can do the program in 1 year instead of 2 or 3, and I get a different perspective than the American perspective, because if you're wanting to deal with international relations, and I want to potentially even go into international law, but just like having a slight background in it so I can like actually advocate for people who need advocated for. And so it's just very, very different. And getting used to the different is going to be a rough learning curve. And it's hard to go from being in the small town life where I am right now to like going and actively being around people all day. I'm an extrovert, but I've gotten a lot more introverted over the last 1.5 years since I graduated college. And like, I like being alone and I like not talking to people. And now I have to go and I have to interact with people, and I can't just wear comfy pants all day. I gotta like put on jeans and stuff. And yeah, so it's like a process of growing up, but it's just gonna be a different challenge. And I'm excited for what's gonna happen into the future, and I'll try and make sure I post stuff about the process of going to graduate school and getting into a graduate school if I can. My grades aren't where they need to be, but I have passion and I have motivation and I have something. Finally feel like I have, my passion is where it needs to be in order to go and do things. And that's one of the most important things, I think. If you know you have the ability, but it's not just been like cultivated to where it needs to be to get where you want to go. Knowing you have that ability and then knowing that you want to chase after something and actively going after it, I think it just works so well. And I feel like at 24 years old, I know what I'm going to do better, and I know what I don't want to do, which is one of the biggest things in life. So life is going to happen whether I'm in control of it or if I'm not in control of it, but I'm going to do everything I can to make the world a better place, and that's what I've always wanted to do. So yeah, let me know what you think about this video. I want to tell some of my crazy travel stories here soon, but I figured I'll talk a little bit about going back to school and that process, because it's not something people normally think about. So yeah, if you could like this video, if you could subscribe, you can do whatever you need to do with that, and leave a comment or post about what you think I could do better and what kind of things you would like to hear me talk about. I would really appreciate it. Thank you for watching my video, and I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.